Bullhorn, Betty. Thank you for my shirt. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Kids Club.
Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo. Set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flaws, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up, really gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
My bite's not hooked in my bark, buddy. And slid down so we can see a red suitcase right here for law enforcement if they're watching and you guys would like to come back here. Of her being out here. So this is what we're doing today. We will see you guys back here real soon.
Say this right here, baby, because some of y'all be acting like y'all don't be seeing it. But, baby, playing victim in a situation that you created, oh, yeah, baby, that's narcissistic as hell to me. Hello, somebody. How you gonna create the storm, then get mad when it rain? How you hurt somebody and then get mad that they hurt? How you damage somebody, go outside your way to destroy a person and then get mad when they no longer want to deal with you? Baby, playing a victim in a situation that you created, oh, baby, that's narcissistic as hell to me. I'm sorry, but it is.
Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Alexander Murdaugh, defendant. Indictment for murder, guilty, verdict.
That is the Clerk of Court in Colton County, Rebecca Hill, better known as Miss Becky. Alec Murdaugh and his defense team have accused the clerk, Miss Becky Hill, of the unthinkable, tampering with the jury. The defense team say she did this for a book deal, money, and fame. However, the ghostwriter to her book has a different opinion of the situation. Here's what he has to say.
The only thing I can tell you is her integrity, which is she's one of the most genuine people I have ever met.
We now know from Twitter post by Eric Bland, an attorney that took care of the Satterfield boys, as well as Stephen Smith's mother, is now representing the jurors that made these claims, and stated to Mr. Harpulian, you told them to get an attorney, and they got me.
The State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant. Indictment for murder, SC Code 16-3-0010, CDR Code 0116. Guilty, verdict.
We never considered the likelihood, as reported to us by the jurors, that the clerk of court would go in to the sanctity of the jury room before he testified and tell the jurors, don't be fooled by his testimony.
The only thing I can tell you is her integrity, which is she's one of the most genuine people I have ever met. She's a rule follower.
The information we got, I can tell you, was independent of each juror. The first juror we talked to, we got information about Ms. Hill saying, don't be fooled. And then the second juror, independent of the first juror, says the same thing, and the third juror, independent of the other two, say the same thing. And so we're very confident.
Hill, according to Murdaugh's motion for a new trial, made up a story about a Facebook post that claimed a juror dubbed Egg Lady had talked with her ex-husband about the case. That juror was removed right before closing arguments and replaced with an alternate, James McDowell. Murdaugh's lawyers believe Egg Lady would have voted not guilty, possibly causing a hung jury.
I want to thank the Colton County Clerk of Court, Becky Hill, and her entire team and their staff. I don't know.
Well, good afternoon, my beautiful people of YouTube. That's the video that I dropped yesterday. If you would like to see it, you can go over to my video section of YouTube and take a look at that. That was not posted on TikTok, so you'll only be getting this video here on YouTube if you'd like to see the commentary from the ghostwriter. I have, many of you know, I have been very cautious in dealing with the allegations levied, upon the Clerk of Courts, because I have dealt with Clerk of Courts. I deal with my own Clerk of Court. I deal with, in the past, a lot of legal professionals. I've been in the legal field, well over a decade prior to me getting out of the legal field. And I have to be honest with you, this is just, it just doesn't make sense to me. To me, it just doesn't make sense. So, I've been very cautious, and we've discussed, and I told you how concerning this motion for a new trial is in the Alec Murdaugh case. I expressed that the information here doesn't appear to be very good. It doesn't appear to be very good at all. And even with all of this information in this new trial, I have been cautioning my audience that I'm still not to the point where I think she did anything wrong. And so now there's more information coming out in light of these allegations from Camp Murdaugh, right? So we're learning a little more. This a ghostwriter, which is kind of an unknown person. He's on the book, Neil Gordon, came out and discussed some of the things that we did not know. And here's some information I did learn. She didn't just put this book out. She went through a whole entire process of taking it to their, the boards that oversee to make sure that there's no legal impropriety. So she went through all of the necessary processes legally and lawfully to get this book published after this trial had ended. So she went through all the proper procedures to keep herself above board in this. That's what I learned over the last 24 hours. I also learned that this video here, I had a tad bit of information wrong when it was first coming out. I said that Eric Bland is representing the two that made these that levied these allegations. There's three people. There's three affidavits here. I think two are from jurors and one's from a husband of a juror, that has the 3 restraining orders. I'm assuming is the egg lady, the infamous egg lady. So it's and that was comical. I'm like, is she going to egg these people's cars? What's going on here? I had no clue. So now that I'm hearing even more information, even how she really went through all of the processes that I know, being in county government, there are processes you have to go through with certain boards too. And she went through, I can't remember the board he said she went through, but she did go through a board and got approved to write and release this book. And it appears to me that she wasn't the writer of this book. Remember, I told you one of the other concerns I had was, this book came out really quickly, and he identified that this book came out very quickly. But, he also stated that he's asked her all the questions under the sun and how they kind of met, how his wife went to one of the Murdaugh trials, hearings or whatever, stayed there a couple days and just happened to see Becky walking around and was able to get a selfie with her. And next thing you know, that the wife is hooking her husband up with her because she was wanting to write a coffee table book. And Becky's like, yeah, maybe I'll write a book too. And so this all kind of came out about that. So her intentions, and there was even a few things where he's talking about the prayerful jury and how she couldn't pray with them. And that bodes well with what I'm hearing. And as I said, when I was reading these affidavits, so far her behavior was not one that would be alarming to me. They're making it sound alarming because her having contact with the foreperson is the proper chain of command. So the foreperson would most likely tell the bailiff, hey, bailiff, I need to speak to the clerk. The bailiff would, call the clerk. The clerk would have came in, and if that foreperson had some private information about what's going on behind the scenes or with the jury, maybe, and what I mean by that is if there's, if they're discussing the case, they're not supposed to be discussing this case or deliberating this case until deliberation time. So if they're deliberating or having, conversations that might be cautioned against, it would be the responsibility of that foreperson to allow the clerk to know that. So far, even in the affidavits that we were reading, I wasn't getting all of these alarming with her behavior. Now, the allegations of what she may have said. Now, I have, those I said were very problematic for me. But I also got an opportunity to listen to Eric Bland. Eric Bland is now the attorney representing 2 of the many jurors, not the 2 jurors. I want to make sure I'm clear on that because there was some some just one little statement in that video that I didn't realize I misstated. I thought I was being accurate at the time, but further research, I realized it was not an accurate statement. So I wanted to make sure that that statement is clarified. Eric Bland is not representing the two people that levied the allegations against the clerk. He's representing two of the other jurors that were on the jury. So we want to make sure that that's clarified. Have a beautiful, blessed day, everyone. Off to work. Well, God bless you. Have a great yourself, and we'll be praying for you. We'll be praying for you. So Miss Hill had frequent private conversations with 4 persons. So they said there may have been some things going on in the jury at that time that warranted those private conversations. But again, it's not normal nor customary. There are actually chains of command and procedures in place so this type of stuff does not happen. I.e. that there's always a bailiff there. You keep the jury together. You're not hearing these jurors talking about her splitting juries apart and pulling juries out. And it's a little odd that these 2 jurors heard her say these remarks, but nobody else in that group or in the presence did. So again, I'm having a little bit of problems with this. I'm assuming one of these people are one of the people that may have potentially been removed. We're going to get into the affidavits today, but first I just want to say good morning to everybody. But that is our kind of our, intro into what we are going to be discussing today on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you are a TikToker or have a TikTok account, consider going over and subscribing to Bullhorn Betty over on TikTok. We do provide short videos and short clips every single day over on TikTok. Those are also sometimes coupled over here. A few of those, I think I'm going to be modifying what I do just a tiny bit. So I'm going to keep my smaller videos over on TikTok. I'm not sure how I'll bring some of the important ones over and post those over here, but not everything, because I don't want to be taking everything from TikTok and bringing it over to YouTube and vice versa. Well, I can't do that up from YouTube to TikTok because you just don't have the time over there on TikTok. But the longer videos are only going to be presented here on YouTube. So I just want to make sure that we're clarifying on what kind of, where the content is. So really the short videos, the 3 minutes or less videos will be on TikTok. The 3 or more videos will be here. And then of course, all my live broadcasts are here on YouTube. So if you're already on TikTok, might as well come hang out with me, right? Might as well. So we always here on the Bullhorn Betty channel discuss the language of letting go. This is something that helped me many, many years ago. It's been with me for well over 15 years. It's a codependency book. And I find that a lot of things, are codependent, even our substance and other intakes can be codependent. So I find that this is really meaningful to me. And I figured since I have a lot of women on here and some men get information out of this too, but predominantly our channel has a lot of women. And those women, I feel like if I'm getting something out of it, they may get something out of it as well. Who cares? I do, says the Clerk of Courts is not always in court. Sometimes deputy clerks appear in court because of the number of trials. Becky herself was in court due to the notoriety of the case. Exactly, because the best of the best needed to be handling that case. And I'm sorry, but you don't want to, when you have a case like that and you're a clerk, you're going to want to know that it's done right and there are no hiccups. And you are, at the end of the day, 100% responsible, whether you're there or you have somebody in your place. So I can see, I would definitely be the person that if this case and I was the clerk, I would want to be a part of it. Not because of the notoriety of the case necessarily. It does have some type of point to be made about the notoriety of the case, but it's because of the notoriety of the case and the fact you're 100% on the hook on what goes on in there. You're going to want to take that responsibility yourself. Like, I'm not getting in trouble for somebody else's mistake type of situation. That's kind of how I see it playing out. Yes, it was a notable case, and but it's because everybody, the best of the best, should be present. in a case like this, period. You shouldn't be sending somebody in your place, so to speak. You are the elected official. This is what we elected you for. You should be there, not somebody, not your first in line. You know, you. So I think that had a lot to do with it. So September 9th, discover what works for you. Enroll in the weight loss program and you'll lose 30 pounds in 5 days. Sorry, but you know we all do it, right? We've all been hooked on that. Come to this free seminar. After spending $100 on a book, you'll be a millionaire. There is no quick fix, no pancreas that works on every single person. I don't know why they use no pancreas, but that's funny. Successful rarely happens overnight or in 5 days. Even the 12 steps are only suggestions. Although proven to work, the details, decisions about how we apply those steps in our lives are left to each one of us. And a few things happen overnight, except from the beginning of the new day. Listen to your mentors. Examine what's been tried and true and has worked and helped countless others along their path. The 12 steps are only one of those approaches, but don't be taken by false claims of overnight success or instant enlightenment along your path. True change takes time and it takes effort, especially when you're changing and tackling big issues. We all have some big issues that present to us every single day. How do we tackle those? We can often get exactly the help we need at times from a therapist, book, or seminar. The best thing in life really are free and available to each one of us. The 12 steps, again, qualify in this area. Discover what works for you. Trust that you'll be guided along your path and receive exactly the help and guidance you need. Then give it time. There really isn't an easier, softer way. God give me the perseverance to tackle my problems. So if you're struggling with problems today, whether it's alcohol dependency, job issues, not feeling appreciated at home or at work, whatever those issues are, identify them, figure out how to overcome them. If it's the job's not working, it's time to start preparing your exit strategy and finding something that works for you. If that relationship is not working for you, it's time to find the exit strategy and find somebody that will work with you, that will treat you better, that will do better for you. If your life is in shambles, it's time for you to address it and figure out how you're going to put your building blocks back. But I have to tell you, it starts with a strong and honest foundation. You cannot build an empire on shaky ground. It will crumble. So you have to work on the foundational issues before you can build the first block on that foundation. So I hope every one of you guys get something out of it. I love this book. It's always helped me. And you know what's crazy about it? When I don't read this book, when I'm not on here and I'm not live with you and I don't pick up this book, my days are funky. This book, even just reading it to the channel, helps me every single day. So I hope it's helping you guys as well. But again, I'm glad I was very cautious entering into this clerk. I've heard, this is what really irritates me. I'm on here now. I am very cautious when it comes to it. Maybe because I did all the legwork for the attorneys or whatnot. I've seen some prominent attorneys that, go to YouTube to talk about cases and, show their expertise, right? Show their expertise. There was this one blonde lady and she's something, she has some really, I don't want to, identify her, but she has some really elitist education. And she kind of loses me because she talks really slow and it's not an exciting thing. It was not appealing to watch. Okay. It really wasn't. It wasn't appealing to watch for me. In all fairness, I kind of believe the law is, it can be entertaining and fun and interesting and really make you think outside the box, really utilize a lot of your brain and problem solving. And so and there's something new in it almost every day. It's not the same type of arguments. It's not the same type of cases. Law is I love the law. I love the law. I just was very cautious about her because I've dealt with so many people and I know that especially attorneys, and we deal with so much money, even paralegal, we deal with so much money. We deal with a lot of money. We deal with cash. We deal with certified checks. We deal with all just a host of a lot of money. And the clerk of all people is basically running the county. I mean, she's the one the county commissioners have to come to get that check signed. Yes, the clerk. She's dealing with all the county finances there. All the county finances. So you're talking about a woman that has already been trusted with millions and millions of dollars. Pro Charlotte Luke, nice to see you. Nice to see you. I'm currently dealing with a neighbor from hell. Yeah. Sometimes it's just easier to put up a fence, like literally to the freaking. Sometimes it's just that easy. Sometimes you just need a barrier, right? You probably already have a fence. I don't know, but that's my suggestion. 6 foot high fence. Boop. Don't talk to me. I don't care what you're doing over there. Just stay away from me. Right? But again, clerk, millions of dollars, handles millions of dollars almost on a daily, weekly basis, millions and millions of county dollars that run through her office that she's accountable for. If she was this sleazeball person that was all about money, she would know how to doctor the books and extort that money. She doesn't need to do it this way. I mean, there's just a whole host of things that never made sense to me with her being, pointed at and stuff like that. And why is it only 2 jurors out of 18? And they're not saying that she specifically spoke. Well, maybe they did say that she specifically spoke to them. Let's hear what it says. We got affidavit A, which is juror 630. She also instructed the jury to watch him closely. So let's see here. So in this affidavit of juror 630, this juror, and I'm assuming it's a she also instructed. Maybe it's not a she. Maybe it's not a she. I don't know who 630 is. Maybe it's a she. Maybe it's not a she. So juror 630 says that Rebecca Hill told the jury, hey, brown chicken, nice to see you, love bug, told the jury that she said not to be fooled by the evidence presented by Mr. Murdaugh. She also told, and it says in here, the jury. It didn't say 630 that Becky Hill came directly to her and spoke with her and said this, XYZ. No, she's saying that this lady, Rebecca Hill, the clerk of Colleton County Court, went into the jury room and instructed the entire jury. That's what's being said here in the affidavit. Let me go ahead and see if I can pull that up. Where the heck is my affidavit? That would be the question. Give me just a second. Let me find it. There we go. Here we go. All right, there we go. Put this on. I will put you guys up bigger. Let me see if I can pull this in just a little bit. Oh, I think that's great. Oh, perfect. Perfect. I think you guys can even read that. Okay. So I'm going to go to Exhibit A. If you guys want to follow along and you guys want a copy of this, here, let me go ahead and give this to you. Here's the PDF of this document. You guys can download it. If each of you guys would like to review this document, there it is. It has everything. It has the motion for new trial. It has all the exhibits that are being said. So if you can't see this up on your screen, then you can go and look for yourself. So what I'm doing is I'm going to Exhibit A. We already know what's basically in this motion for new trial because Alec Murdaugh's, this is the one right here. Alec Murdaugh's defense counsel had a press conference outlining their disdain for the disdain for the clerk. Now, and not only that, but the one thing, and I have expressed this here on this channel, the one thing I had a problem with is they're saying it's for this book deal. Whether he got a mistrial or not, that book deal could have went forward. I mean, this case was so saucy. If he would have gotten a mistrial, that would, I almost feel like that would have been more explosive. Like, I feel like him being in the mistrial would have turned this world on its head, because we all heard all the evidence presented to him. So how could somebody, not believe he's guilty? Well, except our resident defense attorney. Mike, we do love you. I tease you all the time. I poke fun at you all the time. I hope you're okay with it. We love you here. I just want to let you know that we do love you here. So Brown Chicken says, I know he's guilty, but you got to have a jury make their own minds up, not influenced by someone that is profiting off of it. I don't think she's profiting off of it, Brown Chicken. I think that's the misconception here. In all fairness, it doesn't sound like she did anything wrong. As a matter of fact, she went over and above the call of duty to make sure she could do this. She went through the whole rigmarole to have the county and the state approve her moving forward. She had a board to go in front of to make sure that she could ethically write this book. So she went through think about all of the stuff that she went over and above to do. I never believed she did this. I really don't. And I'm still on the hook. We see what's in print from the defense, but the defense, in my opinion, they're liars. They don't care. They're just doing whatever they can for their client, and that's their job. Their job is not to worry about defamation suits. Their job's not to worry about, this. Their job is to protect the interest of the defendant, and that's what they're doing. So they're not doing their job. I just think they're getting themselves in a pickle to begin with, and they're trying to boot Judge Newman as well in this effort and campaign. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, because if you have two people saying that the clerk told the jury, then everybody should have heard her. Everybody should have heard her. Now that this is kind of exploded, everybody knows if she did do that, she was wrong in doing so. And then now they would be coming forward and saying, you're right, I did hear the clerk say that. You're right, I did hear the clerk say this. You're right, I heard the clerk say this. But you don't have that. You have only two. And I'm pretty sure we had 18. I'm almost positive. Maybe somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But if I remember correctly, when we set this up, we knew it was going to be a really long trial. And Judge Newman, because of, we were coming off, the COVID, and people still are getting sick and whatnot. I remember him being very cautious and saying, I want to have more alternates, because people may get sick as this trial, goes on and on and on. It may be required for them to be, for us to if people have to get back to work. So they had the 6 alternates. I'm almost positive they had 6 alternates, 12 main jurors and 6 alternates. That would be 18. Nope. That'd be 16 individuals. 12 plus 6. It's 18. Yes. So 18 individuals. So out of 18 individuals, you've only got 2 that have come forward. What percentage of the total body is that? So 11, is that right? 11%? Did I do that right? I think it's 11% of the jury. It doesn't even qualify as a 1/4% of the jury. 1/4. This is just above 1/10 of the jury pool is saying that these allegations. 2 people are saying these allegations. But what I have a problem with is, now that we're reviewing this and diving into it a lot deeper, the issue I have is in their statement, they're advising that she told the entire jury body this. And if she told the entire jury body this, I would assume that there would be a lot more jurors that come forward and sign affidavits to that effect. Just my thought. Dr. Lewis was extremely confident. I think you are just trying to make me laugh at this point. And yes, I guess you are. You got me to laugh. Okay, yes, very competent lady that expert was. I think that expert did no justice. No justice. They put in their own money. Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing. They haven't made a dime off of this. This is not a contracted. That's another misconception that's coming out of Camp Murdaugh. Is they said it was for a book deal. There is no book deal. There is no book deal. Her and Neil Gordon put together $15,000 from the clerk, $15,000 from Neil, wrote a book and self-published this book. This book has not made any money. There's no guarantee that this book will make one dime. They may have just put a match to $15,000 and burnt it, to be honest with you. We don't know, but they put their own money in. There is no book deal. So there's lie number one from Camp Murdaugh that can be easily proven. That's lie number one. So far, the only camp that's lying and that we have proof of lying is Alec Murdaugh and his defense. Literally. That's what we have. I mean, it's not the most ideal situation. I can honestly say that, but we know that their camp lies. We know that they lie. We know that they're going to continue to lie. So I'm just a little concerned, if they lie, then why are we now believing what they're saying now? Why are we believing what they're saying now? It's hard for me to believe. It really is. And I'm going to play this again until you guys get sick of it. I'm playing it again so you guys can hear what's going on.
Are you fearful for your life if you believe the killer is out there?
Absolutely.
State versus
Lies.
Richard Alexander
All
Murdaugh,
lies.
defendant. Indictment for murder.
Did you lie to Agent Owen and Agent Croft?
I did lie to them.
Guilty. Verdict.
So this is a weird phenomenon that I'm seeing with Buster. Is he completely in denial? Or does he truly believe that somebody's out there? I'm sorry, but I'm not convinced. Check this out.
Are you fearful for your life if you believe the killer is out there?
Absolutely. I think that I've set myself up to be safe. But yes, when I go to bed at night, I have a fear that there is somebody else still out there.
Docket number 2022 GS 15-00592. The State of South Carolina, County of Colleton, in the Court of General Sessions in the term of 2022, July, the State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant. Indictment for murder, guilty, verdict.
Is that you? On the kennel video at 8:44 p.m. on June 7th, the night Maggie and Paul were murdered.
It is.
Were you in fact at the kennels at 8:44 p.m. on the night Maggie and Paul were murdered?
I was.
Did you lie to SLED Agent Owen and Deputy Laura Rutland on the night of June 7th and told them that you stayed at the house after dinner?
I did lie to them.
Did you lie to Agent Owen and Agent Croft on the follow-up interview on June 10th that the last time you saw Maggie and Paul was at dinner?
I did lie to them.
And in the interview of August 11th, did you tell Agent Owen and Agent Croft, did you lie to them by telling them that you were not down at the kennels on that night?
Yes.
Guilty, verdict.
I want to personally thank you.
I want to personally thank you for watching this crazy chick you call Bullhorn Betty. Bullhorn Betty. Bullhorn Betty. So again, we know Camp Murdaugh lies. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, in my opinion. Camp Murdaugh lies. So we've caught him lying. We've caught him lying. We've caught him lying. Now we're going to this jury thing. And this juror 630, I don't know who you are, and if you watch this channel or watch any channel on YouTube, I don't know. Let me give you my opinion. You're saying under oath that she told the jury. You've got nobody supporting this claim. And my suggestion to juror 630 is you also get yourself a damn good attorney, because you might get you might be on the hook for some of this stuff. If this is incorrect or you misrepresented facts, you're dealing with the state attorney. Like, they're going to, if they find impropriety in this statement under oath in a double murder trial, you might be on the hook for some kind of perjury. I just want to not to intimidate anybody. I just want to make sure that this is accurate, because to me, it doesn't sound like other jurors are in agreement with these statements that they were told by the clerk. Now the bailiff would have been in that room with them. So now you have two people, one that is an officer of the law, literally an officer. A bailiff is an officer of the law. You've got an appointed official there. Somebody would have heard something. And I don't understand why all of a sudden, in all these years of service this clerk has had to this county, this would be the case that she tips the scale on. This was a slam dunk case, in my opinion. This was, I don't ever say slam dunk case, how I feel about it. But when the information came out, it was a no-brainer. The man lied about everything, and he got caught with his pants down. There's nobody that lives out there. I mean, I can show you video after video. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll prepare a video of Alec Murdaugh. I was just there, just when I was doing Layla Santinello. We went over to Layla Santinello, Maryland. We went to South Carolina. So we went to all the spots again in South Carolina. We revisited Stephen Smith's, where he lost his life. We went to Mallory Beach's gravesite. We went to the Moselle property. There was just a laundry list of places that we went in South Carolina. So we do have fresh, new, how it looks today content from there. So maybe I will put that up, because I walking up and down that road. Nobody's there. There's hardly anybody that passes me. I've been there several times, and there's hardly anybody in that area, anybody on that road. So who the heck was there? There was only 3 people there that night. 2 of them are dead. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what happened. Mallory Beach's camp is not going to go in and unalive these people because they would have already won. She did. Look at them. Come on. They would never have jeopardized that lawsuit. Let's be honest. Nobody in their right mind would have jeopardized a financial windfall lawsuit against the Murdaugh family. Nobody. They would have at least waited until after the judgment and then decided to do, let's be honest. They're not going to jeopardize millions and millions of dollars. Nobody would do that. And her family and parents seem like they're very reputable people. So I don't see them getting down like that. I just don't. So this juror 30 says that, all these things are happening. The 4-person juror 826 criticized the former 4-person blank juror 589 for handing Mr. Murdaugh a box of tissue. Now, she may not have, there may be policies and procedures within that courthouse that absolutely prevent that from happening. We don't know. Now, we don't even know if this allegation is true, but if true, what could excuse, there might be some rules that there is no contact, that the jury can't have contact with the defense, the defendant, or the state, that they have to be totally removed from them in order to provide a fair and unbiased verdict. It might be a cardinal rule inside. I don't know. But there could be a reasonable explanation for this. And everything that they said about how they go and have private conversations, it's not with any other person that I can see in this affidavit other than the 4-person. Other than the 4-person. That would be the right chain of command. There's an issue. It's sent to the 4-person. The 4-person tells the bailiff goes get the clerk has a private conversation with the 4-person. She probably, depending on what the situation is, may say, hey, I need to speak to the judge. Don't repeat anything that we've discussed. And goes to the judge and talks to the judge about it. That, to me, is proper chain of command. That is proper chain of command. So far, outside of the fact that Exhibit A, Juror 630, says that the clerk, Rebecca Hill, was putting her hands on, she was advising the jurors, to pay close attention. I'd like to know when that was. She's saying it was after President's Day. If she was giving the training, if she was there when they were getting their juror training, that may have been advised at that moment. They may be, manipulating the word, the terminology and stuff like that. They may have been at the very beginning been talking about best practice. We don't know. We have conjecture here. We have, a well-established lie group, the Murdaugh family, the Murdaugh defense team, rather, and we know that they lied. We know that they have lied, habitually lied. We know that they have a duty to protect their defendant. So I would not put as much weight for them. Now, with the clerk, seeing all this stuff and hearing this, as damaging as it does sound, I was very cautious, like I said, very cautious about pointing the finger at this clerk because I know how these things work. I know how the defense works. I'm very cautious. I don't trust them. I want proof, right? I want proof. This is not proof to me. I mean, it's an affidavit. Anybody, we talk about this many times, anybody can put whatever they want in an affidavit. It doesn't matter what you put in the affidavit, it's what you can support factually. And I don't think this 630 has the facts on this person's side. I don't. It's possible. We're not to the end yet, but I'm still camp clerk. I'm still camp clerk. I think I would roll over before I don't know what I would do. I'd go skydiving before I'm Camp Murdaugh. I'm sorry. Unless something more than this comes out, I'm camp clerk. I'm camp clerk. I'm sorry. So according to this one, this is the affidavit of Holly Miller. Now, Holly Miller, we're going to be discussing this. It says, I personally appeared before me, Holly Miller, on August 6, 2023, Dick Hartpullian and Jim Griffin and I met with blank, juror 741. Find juror 741. Hold on. So no juror 741 has proffered an affidavit. So Dick Hartpullian, this is from Holly Miller. So this must be some type of employee of theirs, right? Must be some type of employee of theirs. Again, this I could burn. I could burn. I don't trust them. I don't trust anything that anybody in their camp says, period. I just don't. I don't. And it's going to take a lot to get me off that. I'm definitely Camp Murdaugh. It's just Camp New Trial. I think he just enjoyed hanging out with us. Come on, Mike. Don't lie. Hey, Crayon Man. Nice to see you. Pass the Doritos, please. Right? Right? So they say Jim Griffin and I met with juror 741 in the case of South Carolina versus Richard Alec Murdaugh. Let me just pull this up. We're on Exhibit B now. We're on Exhibit B now. Oh, and here's where it says right here. Let me go back here. Right here, it says jury. She instructed the jury. Let me put this up on big screen. Big screen. See? Number 3, she also instructed the jury. The jury, not one person, not a person that was pulled to the side that she couldn't hear. She's in this allegation of Exhibit A. They're saying that Miss Hill went into the jury room and instructed the entire jury body. No, I don't think so. This is what is being said in this affidavit. So we're going to find out if that's true. So let's go ahead and get to, this is B, this is H. Miller, and it's regarding jury 741. And as you can see right here, number 1, on August 6th, Dick Hartpullian, Jim Griffin, and I. So it was Team Murdaugh that went to this person's house. I don't trust anybody from their office giving an affidavit. I just don't. I don't, and I won't. I'm sorry. Be an officer of the Clerk of Court or not, I don't care. Dick Hartpoolian knows how to squeeze himself out of slimy situations, and so does Jim Griffin. So I don't trust them. So here we've got this is saying at a August 6th meeting, a meeting on August 6th, blank indicated she would sign an affidavit. However, we were unable to arrange with her a suitable time and place. You said you met with her. Why couldn't you just meet with her again? Sounds like she was giving you the runaround. That's what I'm saying. You know, since August 6th, it's September 9th. You didn't even file this for 30 days. You couldn't go to her job. You couldn't meet her at McDonald's. You couldn't meet her at the sport park and get her there. I mean, every person in a law office typically has a notary license. Just saying. You could have brought Holly Miller out there with you and had her notarize the document. This doesn't make sense, okay? To a normal person, not being able to get in contact to get an affidavit, somebody that you already previously met with, I have a problem with that as a legal professional. I have a problem with that. So it says at a meeting on August 8th, they indicated she would sign an affidavit, but were unable to meet. During the meeting, blank relied the following information to us. During the trial, she witnessed the clerk of court, Becky Hill, come to the jury room, and Miss Hill and the foreperson, blank, 826, went to the bathroom. After Miss Hill and the foreperson exited the bathroom, Miss Hill told the juror they could not ask the foreperson any questions. It sounds to me like they were discussing an issue. That's what it sounds like to me, a confidential issue. So far, that's what it sounds like to me. And it was with the foreperson. And again, I told you that would be proper chain of command. Several times during the trial, Ms. Hill told jurors that media would want to interview the jurors at the end of the trial. And during one of these conversations, she passed out a business card from the media to the jurors. Now, let's talk about that. I believe Judge Newman also addressed that in open court when he dismissed the jury. So again, not finding too much with that. Okay? Not finding too much with that. At the end of the trial, Ms. Hill told blank that no one from the media wanted to interview her. So it didn't sound like that from other statements that we heard. We heard that they were wanting to interview everyone. So I'd like to know how they're going to prove that allegation. That blank, and I think it's insignificant. It doesn't go to the fact that whether he's guilty or innocent. If she got her feelings hurt that nobody wanted to interview her, then she got her feelings hurt that nobody wanted to interview her. But either way. So Holly Miller, again, a colleague of Team Murdaugh, the defense team, right before the defense put up their case, Ms. Hill told jurors, you're going to hear things that will throw you all off. Don't let this distract you or mislead you. After Alex testified, 8 jurors indicated they did not believe his testimony. Blank recalled blank, juror 544, known as Boston, by many of the jurors, was very emotional during the trial. During the visit to Moselle, blank, juror 862 and blank walked to the scene together. Then juror 826 began walking with the clerk of court, Becky Hill. There were times the juror were not kept together, but were in 2 separate rooms. Again, we discussed this yesterday, that's standard. They don't typically put, unless they have the room in smaller courthouses, they don't have the capacity to have everybody in one room, or it's overcrowded. People are uncomfortable. They can't relax. They're there all day. So it is a common practice to split the jury up into 2 rooms. It is a common practice. Blank noticed jurors talking about the case before deliberation began. This could be the reason why the foreperson and the clerk were speaking so confidentially. They were probably making sure that they were upholding the proper procedures in a trial and with the jury. So far, none of this is that damaging, except the statements that they are allegedly stating that the clerk made. Everything other than the statements are, in my opinion, normal and customary. The statements, conversating with the jurors, that is a big no-no. Huge, huge no-no. You don't do that. You can't do that. It's illegal and unlawful. But everything else is not concerning or alarming. And again, this is from a juror that has not filed an affidavit. We only have an affidavit from a colleague in Dick Hartpulian's office. This is an affidavit from a colleague of the defense team. I want to make sure that that's clear to my audience. There were times the juror were not kept together, but were in two separate rooms. Blank noticed juror talking about the case before deliberation. Neither she nor Blank, juror 785, joined in on the conversation about Alex. As the jury was deliberating, she believes Judge Newman came into the room, and she was told her, the jury, they would have to spend the night in a hotel if they didn't have the vote in by a certain time. But as she doesn't recall the deadline. So we also heard in Affidavit A that that she believes it was the clerk that came in. We're hearing that it was actually Judge Newman. Again, it could have been Judge Newman's instruction that they couldn't go out for cigarette breaks. It could have been Judge Newman's instructions that they deliberations went past 11, they'd have to stay in a hotel. This may not have nothing to do with the clerk. She just may be exercising the judge's instructions, which she's required to do. That's part of her job duties. And I have not been hearing anybody, especially these legal minds, these attorneys out here on YouTube, not one of them has that I've seen. Now, I may be watching the wrong ones, but all the ones I've seen, is even that Harvard lady is condemning the clerk without a scintilla of evidence. This is not evidence to me. These are statements. These are statements. And they don't make sense. And yes, they are independent of each other. But one thing I'm noticing about them is their information is not the same. It sounds the same, but it's not the same. So there's a lot of, confusion going on with the affidavits as well. Juror 741 was the first former juror to provide information that the clerk made statements to members of the jury about evidence presented during trial prior to jury deliberation. Ms. Hill's conduct was corroborated by other jurors during subsequent interviews. I disagree with that. So far, we've only heard one, and we haven't even heard from this juror 741, only what you think you heard juror 741 say. I'm very interested in that. And again, we went over Exhibit C yesterday. Exhibit C is the transcript about the Facebook posts. And, quite frankly, nothing alarming in this either. It seems like something that was on the record and discussed and with the judge appropriately and done in the proper protocol and procedure when handling a situation like this. So we come to the Behind the Doors of Justice. This is the book that they allege that she was, that she did this horrible thing, that she thwarted her oath of office for this book. That's what they're claiming. Look, just because she wrote a book doesn't mean she thwarted her oath of office. She has a right to give her opinion. Just because she's an elected official doesn't mean that she doesn't have the rights as a citizen like the rest of us do. The case is over. She has a right to discuss it, just like the jury has the right to discuss it. Everybody, after the verdict is read, can now discuss the case. But did she violate her oath of office in doing so? According to her ghostwriter, she did not. And we know how desperate Camp Murdaugh is. So I am out here wanting to make sure that the truth is out there, that so far I'm on Exhibit D, halfway through this, and nothing other than the statements made by the clerk, which are still, there's no proof of those statements. None. Now, if we had 6 jurors come forward and say, yeah, I heard her say that, I have a problem. But so far you have 2 of 18. 2. And I hope the people that gave you these affidavits go and consult counsel immediately. Their own counsel. And stay away from Jim Griffin and Dick Hart-Pulley. Get your own counsel, not Murdaugh's counsel. So we're just going to read this the entire attachment, and we're going to see if we see or hear anything that would be alarming to us. They've attached this to their motion for new trial. So hopefully, if she did anything damaging, it would be here. Professional, and we bonded over a cancer diagnosis that both of our families had endured. That was an incomplete sentence. It was page 92 of this Behind the Doors of Justice. While Dateline producers were in town for the trial in February 2023, they asked for Judge Newman's cell phone number, which I was given permission to provide them. Then Craig reached out to Judge Newman to reconnect. Craig grew up in Columbia, South Carolina, where his family and Judge Newman's family knew each other. In fact, Craig was a friend of Judge Newman's late son. As Judge Newman was beginning his first of many terms as circuit court judge in Columbia, Craig began his career at WIS-TV before getting recruited to a station in Washington, D.C., and then NBC Network in New York. That exclusive interview with Judge Newman and his daughter, also a judge, took place in Columbia. Valerie Bauerlein, if I'm saying her name correctly, it might be Bauerlein, but Bauerlein is a National Wall Street Journal reporter who has covered the South for 18 years. She was the pool reporter sent to Moselle with pool photographer Andrew Whitaker of the Post and Courier newspaper. In October 2021, Valerie signed a book deal with a division of the iconic Penguin Random House Publishing Company for a book project about the Murdaugh family of South Carolina. As it so happened, my 55th birthday fell during the trial in the spring of 2023. My birthday is March 10th, and Valerie was born late February. So it was decided to have a party for both of us at her Airbnb on the night of her birthday. She invited many of her colleagues who were covering the trial for the regional and national media outlet. There was a food, birthday cakes, and lots of fun, and a little truth serum in the form of liquid refreshments. So there was alcohol being served. As we were cleaning up after the party, a few of us were asked how we would vote at the point in the trial if we were members of the jury. Before answering, we pledged a cone of silence, and for that reason, I cannot reveal the results of our straw poll. What I can say is many of the party guests agree with the ended up being the actual verdict of the trial. What's wrong with that? How many of us did that? The clerk's not voting in the jury. The clerk is allowed to have her opinion. And again, nothing here is against her oath of office. These are people unrelated to the jury, unrelated to the trial. She's not a person that's going to be, judging this trial like the judge. She's not the person that's in the jury box. So far, just let me be very clear, no impropriety yet. Nothing improper has happened yet. They can twist it and make it look improper if they so choose, but when you come to look at the law and how this all works, nothing she has done so far is improper. As as we were cleaning up after the party, a few of us were asked how we would vote. Okay, we would get. She said she wouldn't tell. Okay, today's show and Dateline. Sunday night after Alec was sentenced, I accompanied jurors from the trial to New York City. As I mentioned earlier, Craig Melvin and Savannah Guthrie of the Today Show interviewed 3 jurors during the 7-minute high-energy segment. While we were all in the Today Show green room, we met and took pictures with country music star Dustin Lynch, who was also getting ready to appear on the program to sing one of his hit songs. Now, I also want to say that another attorney that I watched on here was like, oh, that's so highly inappropriate to be flying with the jurors. No, attorney. Let me school you. I mean, you were a prosecutor. No, it's not inappropriate. Actually, nothing's illegal about it at all. And as a matter of fact, this is where many people don't understand. I have this experience because I have been flown out places. I have been interviewed by people. I have been on documentaries and other things. One thing is when you're coming from an area, the same area, they book your flights. You don't book your own flights. Okay? So it's not like you're saying, oh, hey, juror, we're going to fly together. You want to book a reservation? No, it doesn't work that way. The Today Show books all of them to come in at the same time. Right? So it's not highly inappropriate, as this one attorney has said. And I like this attorney. I watch this particular attorney. I'm a subscriber to this particular attorney, and I highly regard her. But no, you're wrong. And sorry, you're wrong. I know. So this whole thing of her flying with the jurors, there is a reasonable explanation for that. I know. So they can, again, try to twist this to make this look improper. But again, nothing improper I have seen so far. We are on Exhibit D. So outside of the statements that these affidavits have, even every action that she's made inside those statements, outside of the words that they said that she said, have been normal and customary with my understanding of how trials work. Normal and customary. Hey, JJ, hope you're doing well. Oh, yeah. 80. So let's get the likes up. They're saying there's only 38. I know that on Saturday, especially with the hunt going on with Danilo, and the fact I don't really come on live this late during the day. I was just doing some research, and then I was watching the commentary from Dolly, and then I was watching the commentary from JLR, about the manhunt. It sounds like they had some sightings of him. So I'm later in the day, but we still need to get those likes up. So we have 81 people in the chat right now. If you guys would kindly go out there, give me a like button, and then come back here and put the thumbs up in the chat. So I know that you guys went out there and did that. I greatly appreciate that. So again, nothing improper so far. Once the taping of the Today Show concluded, we were whisked away from an 850-foot skyscraper building by a driver in a black Chevy Tahoe to a different studio near 30 Rock, where Dateline taped some of its segments. What stuck out to me was one of the jurors mentioned to a producer that she was craving pizza and cheesecakes. And the next thing you know, both were delivered in time for lunch. This trip was extra special for me because it was my first time ever flying in a plane. We flew from Charleston to New York City. So again, very, very direct flight from Charleston to New York. Every person that company, if they were in that area and that was the closest airport, everybody that they were flying into that show would have been on that same flight, period. I chose pretzels and Coke and to relieve my anxiety. Then the black Chevy Tahoe car service was sent to pick us up from LaGuardia Airport, and we got a ride through one of these dark underwater tunnels that led us to the city that never sleeps. NBC put us in the hands of fabulous Harley Barber, Dateline producer, who put us all up in a nice Manhattan hotel and fed us at a restaurant on the Avenue of Americas, a block away from 30 Rock in Midtown Manhattan, on the eve of the interviews. And this is not uncommon either. This is what they do, because when you're doing these types of documentaries, you don't get paid. So you're not getting paid anything to be flown out there. You're not getting paid to be on their show. You're not being paid for any of that. Where you get your benefit is one, having the publicity of being on the show, and two, the amenities that they give you, like putting you in the nice hotel, feeding you the 5-star food. That's the stuff that you can have done, that they can do, but they don't ever pay you for being on those shows and speaking the truth. They don't need to pay for the truth. And that's their mentality. That's why these documentary programs, these documentaries, those people that you see talking in those documentaries, they're not paid people. They don't get a paycheck from that. So I just want to clarify that. So all this stuff that they're saying, I just want to make sure people are, oh, well, she got paid. No, she didn't. No, she didn't. NBC put us in the hands of fabulous, blah, 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 blah. They had, what does it say? Afterwards, the jurors told me they felt like they were heard and loved their 15 minutes of fame in the Big Apple. So they were just wined and dined, and nothing's wrong with that. There's nothing still, so far, nothing happens. Nothing so far, nothing has been improper that I have read so far. Working with jurors is always a unique experience. Like with any jury, we had some behind the scenes happening with our juror alternates and the originals for the Murdaugh trial. While most of the jurors were focused and engaged during the Murdaugh trial, we did have one juror who was an alternate at one point who was not. She was more focused on the crowd, who was watching, who wasn't, following Judge Newman's rules and so on. For example, caught a new visitor in the courtroom who was sitting directly across from her, who looked like she may have been taking pictures of the jury that wasn't going to fly with her. So this is probably the person that she was seen, communicating with about a lot of issues. Okay, so now this is kind of explaining. This may be the foreperson that she's talking about, because she's saying nothing gets by her, right? Let's read this again. It's kind of cut off, I'm trying to figure out the letters that are on the side here because it's just cut off ever so slightly. So the words are cut off. But it says here, while most of the jurors were focused and engaged during the Murdaugh trial, we did have one juror who was an alternate at one point who was not. So they weren't focused and engaged. She was more focused on the crowd, who was watching, who was not, following Judge Newman's, who wasn't following Judge Newman's rules, and so on. For example, she caught a new visitor in the courtroom who was sitting directly from her, who looked like she may have been taking pictures of the juror, and that was not going to fly. Remember that one, we remember this in the trial. We had that one, she was a news person that came in there, and she was, they came and almost swarmed her in the courtroom and removed her. And she was just texting or something on her phone. She was a journalist. She had a right to be there and whatnot. And I recall that she even went out because they said if she's caught or has to be excused one more time, she's not going to be allowed back in at all. And I remember that whole thing. So, juries are supposed to be cognizant of what's going on in the trial, not what's going on the outside. That's for everybody else to observe. That's not for the jury to be observing. But again, this could explain some of the conversations, private conversations with the foreperson, especially if this foreperson realizes this person's not paying attention. They're more worried about somebody following the rules or not, and not paying attention to the actual trial. Then yeah, the foreperson may go up and say, hey, I need to speak to the clerk. The bailiff goes and gets the clerk. They have a private conversation, and maybe, and that would be exactly why that would not want to be discussed in that jury room. You can't ask her any questions about what she said because it was a private communication and not something that all the juries needed to learn was going on. There may be something there. So again, I just want to make sure that we're clear on this now that we have more information, because I'm telling you, as of yesterday, I was like, this please don't tell me this clerk did this. Please don't tell me this clerk did this. And now we're starting to get new information out. And it now that we have that perspective, we can kind of analyze this a little bit better, because it's hard when you have both sides, just one side or the other side giving, jaw-dropping allegations. But now that we're hearing from our ghostwriter, now that we're hearing from the attorney, we're going to play the statements from Eric Bland here in just a few moments. And we're going to continue going down this road with the evidence here. I know we're kind of starting to run out of a little bit of time. I got 45 minutes to kind of button this up, but it looks like this is going to be ongoing, because I really want to dive into this very thoroughly, because again, it's a woman's reputation on the lines for the likes of somebody like Alec Murdaugh. And I just, in my good heart, I can't just sit by and let that happen. I really just can't. I think this is a travesty all the way around. I think she's a scapegoat, and I feel really bad. Any updates on Layla Santinello? I'm glad you asked. So let me just step away from Alec Murdaugh for just a quick second. Yes, there's going to be some updates. We are going back to Tennessee. We are going to be getting some flyers together. We're going to be passing around information, but we're going to be doing a search party in Tennessee on September 17th. So September 17th is my birthday. Last year for my birthday, I was working and trying to help locate information related to Michael Vaughn. This year for my birthday, I'm going to be searching for Layla Santinello. And so we're going to be having a search party. It's, I think the way we're going to design it is we're all going to probably meet. There's like a strip. I've still got to coordinate some areas. I think we're going to try to have, depending on how many people show up, you never can gauge these things. We haven't really started pushing it. This is the first time that we are even bringing up a date at this moment. But it will be September 17th. We will be out there. It looks like we're going to find a location to meet at 8:30. It looks like, if possible, we're going to try to break into 3 teams, 2 at minimum, 3 teams. And we have certain areas that we are going to be searching. The reason why we're doing 2 to 3 teams and not anything bigger than that is because we only have walkie-talkies for 3 teams. And we need those walkie-talkies because if somebody does find something, we need to be able to get law enforcement out there immediately, and so on and so forth. But if you would like to come, this is in Kingsport, Tennessee. You can come in on the 16th. You can be out on, the evening of the 17th and back home either the evening of the 17th or early morning of the 18th. But I really would like anybody and everybody that is willing to put boots on the grounds, is willing to just walk and talk, knock and post and just get as much information. If you do find somebody that does have information, firsthand information, we need to get them in contact. First thing you need to ask is whether or not they've been in contact with law enforcement. And if they have not, we need to get them immediately in contact with law enforcement. There's just a lot of stuff. And so we want to get people out there and at a location at 8:30 so we can go over best practices and also areas to clear. And, we're just some minor training and stuff like that. We want to keep everybody safe, so we'll be coordinating with other people to make sure that we are safe while we are out there in the areas that we are going to be identifying. So with that being said, September 17th, mark your calendars. If you would like to come out there and help, please do. But we're going to go out there. We're going to help this mother. This mother wants to bring her daughter home. And not that the father doesn't. I just haven't spoken to the father. I have had no communication with him. So I'm going to continue working with mom until that changes. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can reach out to me at bullhornbetty@gmail.com. Happy to speak to you if you so choose. I'm happy to keep you informed as we have boots on the ground out there. Otherwise, you can, continue having your phone service your phone service PI help you. So it sounds like all he does is pick up the phone and make phone calls. I'm not that. That's not me. I don't mind picking up phone calls and making phone calls, but I've got to be out there. Your daughter doesn't have really much of a digital footprint out there during this time, and I know that there's nobody that's going to be able to shake the trees like somebody with boots on the ground. Period. So that's what we're going to be doing. So now you have an update on that. There's a $2,000 reward for any information leading to the whereabouts of Layla Santinello. Somebody knows something. I will tell you that. I know that 1,000, 2,000, 1,000,000% that somebody knows something. And I want to know who picked her up. I want to know who picked her up. So another juror couldn't or wouldn't sit still during the trial. Seemed like every time she shifted the chair, it would make a loud squeak. Occasionally, attorneys would wait for the rhythm of the squeaks to subside before continuing their cross-examination. Then there was the egg lady, the juror that worked on the monkey farm in Low Country. She drove Judge Newman bananas one weekend, pun intended. Through the Facebook page, Walterboro word of mouth, about 20,000 followers. The juror's ex-husband posted about how she was talking way too much to friends and family about the case. Many people became aware of the situation after court on Friday, February 24th, and it was brought to the attention of Judge Newman. I typically didn't have the time or energy to watch any media coverage of the trial, but on that Friday night, I scrolled through the Walterboro word of mouth social media feed and saw saw the post from the ex-husband, but he didn't mention the juror's name or her juror number. So they knew that somebody on the jury was talking. They just didn't know who it was, and they didn't know who he was. So, you know, this is kind of explaining this a little bit better. At the time, I didn't think about it, but I kept scrolling mainly because I had been inundated with emails and messages from people all over the world about what they had heard, what they had seen, how the prosecution and the defense should run their case, how Judge Newman should rule. I can't even imagine. Yeah, the world of technology, right? We can just contact people we don't know and tell them about themselves. Love it. What to address with anyone and everyone involved in the courthouse, and so on. I felt like a principal dealing with tattletales. Now your hate channels know what the real adults actually think of you. This is, I'm not lying. This is the hate channels, standard operating procedures. Reach out to government officials to tattletale. This is a government official. It tells you what they really think about those hate channels that do this, because you know they do this. You've heard them say they do this. Listen to this. I felt like a principal dealing with tattletales and problems and issues every day. So you know what she's saying? When you act like this, you're acting like a freaking 2-year-old child. Way to go. Right from the mouth of babes. Babe. When Monday morning came, Judge Newman asked me to find a social media post. One of the techies in the clerk's office, Lori Weiss, looked and couldn't find it at first. Luckily, though, she kept looking and saw there was a post taken down and replaced with an apology from the juror's ex-husband. He said Satan had gotten a hold of him, and he had been drinking at the time he posted it and was now very sorry. So it's not that this Facebook post was hocus pocus, that this was just pulled out of the butt of the clerk. This was something that was brought to her attention. She didn't even want to look for it. Happened to see it. Brought it to the judge's attention. Followed the proper chain of custody, proper chain of command. Sounds like everything so far sounds about how it should be handled. Again, clerk is not the juror. Clerk is not the judge. Clerk is not the juror. The clerk is not the judge. Okay, let me see here. Where was that? Where was I at? There it is. After Judge Newman interviewed the juror, I told you he would interview her. Did I not? Did I not? I had this right. I said, Judge Newman, we even did a poll on it. We did a poll here on the Bullhorn Betty channel, and yet again, we get it right. We get a lot right on this channel. People, I've got a horrible reputation to uphold, right? A fake reputation, I should say. A fake reputation to uphold over here. But we get so much right. We get so much right. I did not know this, but we said it. We called it here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. I said, this judge, don't tell me I don't know people. Don't tell me I don't know how to look at somebody and see them for who they are. Because I sat there and said, Judge Newman seems like the kind of judge that would pull that juror aside and speak to her personally. Personally. When Monday morning came, Judge Newman asked me to find the social media post. Judge Newman interviewed the juror and corroborating witnesses about the situation. He removed the juror. Before court starting Monday morning. We learned later that the ex-spouse hadn't seen each other in 14 years, and the former juror had 3 restraining orders against her ex-husband. When a juror is removed from the jury, it's normal practice for the judge to ask if there's any personal items they would like to retrieve from the private jury room. When Judge Newman graciously presented this question to the former jury, she was saying she just wanted to get her eggs, which caused some laughter in the courtroom and nationally once the media got a hold of the story. Judge Newman even broke out into a large grin I've ever seen. One of the other jurors raised chicken on the farm and brought a dozen eggs to whomever wanted them. Brought in a dozen eggs to whoever wanted them, and were selling for $8 a dozen. Whew, that's a lot. That's about the eggs. I'm not going to read any more about that. We got the gist of that. While the jurors viewed Moselle property, we could hear and see that Alec's story was impossible. God gives us all gifts, and the gift of discernment is shared by many. Some of us from the courthouse, law enforcement, or jury at Moselle property had an epiphany and shared our thoughts with our eyes. At that moment, many of us standing there, they knew Alex was guilty. That, again, no, just because you think what somebody, that's an opinion. That is an opinion that she didn't vocalize. And right now, it's just a thought. Again, nothing improper. Once we were back inside our vehicles, heavy-hearted and contemplative, our procession headed back along Highway 63 toward town of Walterboro. The wind had died down mysteriously, and the sun began to shine through the clouds. One of the roles of the clerk of court is to be Switzerland between the juror, lawyers, and the public and any other entities involved. Switzerland, a unbiased person. They're like her ghostwriter says, she is like the operations manager. In the moments riding back our vehicles with the jurors and the decision makers in other vehicles. Okay, so it says, in the moments riding back in our vehicles and with the jurors and decision makers in other vehicles. So they were by themselves. We were just regular people, and our thoughts spilled out. Just as a jury would do in a span of 3 hours, we unanimously came to our own verdict in just 3 minutes, guilty. So again, she is away from the jury. The jury and the decision makers are in different vehicles. And so whoever was in her vehicle, they had their own verdict. Doesn't sound like it was the jury. Doesn't sound like it was a decision makers in this case. It might have been one of her employees in the vehicle. In my opinion, the decision to visit Moselle by Murdaugh's defense team did not work in their favor. They were hoping to show that the proximity was too close for one shooter, and they felt like the picture didn't show the distance correctly, said Doug Brown, who worked for the defense team during trial. Many of us questioned Alec's bipolar, schizophrenic, and or narcissistic, while some wondered if he snapped due to financial pressure. Paul's boating accident, the crumbling of family dynasty, right is right, wrong is wrong. When and where did the family begin to blur the facts of life? The moral compass, the rules most law-abiding citizens didn't seem to exist in Alec. I don't really want to believe that the father could murder his son and wife. Sometimes, though, the line of love gets blurred and turns into a crime of passion and a crime of desperation. I believe most people cannot fathom killing or hurting a family member, especially in the name of love. But during our time at Moselle, fate was sealed. That's her observation and her opinion. Nothing in here so far. We're at Exhibit D, outside of the allegations in the affidavits of what she may have said, allegedly said to the jury body, which again, I got questions with. with the jury body. It just doesn't seem like so far everything. It could, you know, when people hear that she's walking off with a jury member, it could give you heartburn. But it's the foreperson. Is she supposed to have any conversation with any jury member? It's the foreperson. So we're going to stop right there after the book. That was the information that they attached to the book. Again, I didn't find anything wrong with that. And her providing her opinion after the fact in this book doesn't mean she handled herself inappropriately during that trial. Everything I have seen this woman do so far has been professional and above board. Now, you can imagine, and that's just my own personal preview of this clerk during the trial. Now, the one thing we didn't get to see is anything behind the scenes. We didn't get to see. Could it have happened? Yeah, it could have. So we're going to stop there on this because I want to show you this interview that I think is very important for you guys to see, because this is a little more information in the right column for the clerk, in my opinion. And I'm sorry, I just don't trust Team Murdaugh. I don't. I won't. And let me get back here. Here we go. Yeah. 52. Perfect. So let's hear what the attorney for the other way to go, Bullhorn Betty. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So let me go ahead and turn this on and just listen to what the Eric Bland has to say about the situation. He's representing two of the other jurors, not the jurors that are levying these allegations against the clerk, but other jurors.
False. Eric Bland joins us now. Counselor, good to see you again.
Good to see you, Chris.
So first, let's take care of the two things true at once possibility, which is the jurors that Murdaugh's attorneys have say they were coerced, but they are different jurors than the ones you're representing who didn't know those jurors, so they're not aware of the claims. Could that be the case here?
Well, no, I don't think so. I think just because you say it over and over again and you may say it loud doesn't make it true. I don't believe anybody has said to date, even those jurors that gave affidavits, that they were coerced. I don't think anybody said that their jury verdict was the product of coercion or duress. In fact, I don't want to have a system where jurors make a decision, then are individually polled and say that they have given a true and just verdict. And then 3 months later, they start to say, well, maybe I have second thoughts or something happened. And then all of a sudden they flip. We can't have a system like that. Without revealing attorney-client privilege, I believe that my clients, when the time comes for them to be under oath, if they're going to be under oath, I think they're going to tell a different story than what was told by the microphone by Dick Harpootlian. And remember, when you go for the king, you better hit the king and you better kill the king. If Dick does not score on this, because there could be 10 jurors, Chris, that are going to come in and say that didn't happen, Becky Hill's going to have the greatest defamation claim against Dick Harpootlian that the legal world has ever seen.
Amen.
Well, only if she also has the claim against the jurors who signed the affidavits who say it did happen, right? We know he's not making it out of whole cloth.
He doesn't have immunity for that. He doesn't have immunity in a press conference.
No, but what I'm saying is he's not making up the jurors, right? So if they say what they said, you have two possibilities, three possibilities. One, it happened and they didn't know it was wrong when it happened. They didn't know that this lady talking to them that way and giving her opinions to them was wrong. Possibility one. Possibility two is they're making it up. Okay. Possibility three is they're not making it up, but your jurors are acting in good faith as well because they never talked to these two people. So they weren't aware of what Hill did to them. You say you don't think that is true. Okay. But it could be.
It could be, but I don't think if she spoke, she wouldn't have spoken to two jurors. She would have spoken to the entire pool. So the fact that 10 people said it didn't happen and she wouldn't be talking to two separate jurors and giving them advice if she was.
They're on break. Because they're walking around. She has a chance to
It
get
doesn't
to
work
one of
like
them.
that.
And she has a chance to get to another. It's not like they walk around as a pack.
Nah. They go together and they're put in a room together and they have to stay together. And the allegation that they were not entitled to given a cigarette break Chris, that's a privilege. That's not a right. Nobody has a right to a cigarette break during deliberations. It's a common courtesy that some courts do. In New York, they don't do it. In Philadelphia, they don't do it.
Yeah, it's one thing. I just want to preface this. It's one thing to have cigarette breaks during the trial when you have breaks. It's a totally another one to have breaks during deliberation. Because during deliberation, if two people go out to have a cigarette break and you know, collude together to put the finger on the hands of justice, or on the scales of justice rather, then yeah, you know, they can't do that. It's deliberation. This is where they're allowed to discuss the case. They can't be having people out having separate discussions about the case. So I have no earthly idea.
Do it, but maybe once a day. But you don't have a right during deliberations to get a cigarette break. And Dick made a big issue of that. I am concerned that the process here, by the microphone, by
Hold on. I just passed this. First of all, I want to tell you, Spice Girl, I don't know who you are, but you don't come in here and threaten me. You don't come in here and threaten my family. You don't come in here and threaten my subs. No, we don't do that. And at the end of the day, I'm going to Tennessee to search for a girl. And if anybody tries to stop me or tries to intimidate me, they will have their ass in jail. I don't play. I do not play. And this time, my cameras will not be going off. And if she comes out there after following me from Florida to Georgia, now to Tennessee, she will be in jail with a felony. I've got documentation of this. I bring it with me everywhere I go. When the cops are called out there, believe me, she will go to jail. I can guarantee that. It will not end well for her. It will end well just fine for me because I don't break the law. But her coming and intentionally coming to another state, yeah. And believe me, I will make sure law enforcement knows of her, has a picture of her, and has all the documentation of her assaults on me, her threats on me, and everything else. So if she wants to come around and play with these games, and she wants to threaten me on other people's social media, people that I'm like it's going to be used against them, then please, by all means, I can promise it's not going to end well for her. It'll end well just fine for me. Because for the last 2 years, your camp has been saying that I'm going to jail. It seems like everybody in your camp has gone to jail. Even Eileen. Eileen went to jail. BK went to jail. We got White Boy Lockdown in jail. It seems like you guys deal with a whole bunch of criminal people. We do not over here. So you go back to your criminals. You guys can all go to jail as far as I'm concerned. But you do not come over here. You do not threaten me. You do not threaten people in my chat. And as a matter of fact, don't ever come back here again. So let's talk about that. And I guarantee by the time we're all said and done with this, Dolly will be just fine because we know who the problems are. We can prove who the problems are, and I will not be intimidated. Okay? I'm done with that. I even told Olivia when we go out there, we start hearing about intimidation, we go through. Because every time we go somewhere, we hear that we're going to be, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. It never happens. And if she wants to go out there and mess around with a search of a missing girl, a coordinated search with a missing girl, with the family, a coordinated search with their family, and she wants to go out there and be a fool, now we can identify she does not care about anybody. Nobody. And if people want to continue to support that woman, you guys are supporting her alone. Maybe you guys need to start getting some bail money and commissary money if she's planning on coming to Tennessee. That's all I'm saying. And you can see, here, let me just take this. Not triggered, not upset, but I'm very confident that she comes there and intimidates me or puts a hand on me or comes there MFing around. She will be the one in jail, like she has been many, many times before. Dick Harpootlian is so invested with Alec. He is. That's what people don't understand. He's willing to put his butt on the line for this man. They are friends. They are very good friends. And they have even Jim Griffin, good friends. Now, there, in my opinion alone, there is issues with this whole concoction of attorneys. They're friends. Obviously, they've scratched each other's back in the past, so they're loyal to each other, but that's not even it. Look at how much national and global attention James Griffin and Dick Hartpullian are receiving. The publicity alone is worth taking on this case pro bono for them. I can tell you that. Hartpullian. There's absolutely no reason for anyone to go up and start crap. Exactly. We're looking for a child in coordination with a parent. So, yeah, if you're there, all you're there to do is start trouble, and that's the one thing that this case does not need. But hey, if you want to be put on blast and you just think it's going to make you look so good, it makes you look like trash ghetto shit. That's what it makes you look like. But that's really what you espouse anyways. So I guess that's a compliment for your kind. I just want them to turn their cameras on. I honestly believe if these creators turn their cameras on, the people that are hanging out with them would look at them and say, these aren't, these people on social media would never hang out with these people in real life. They're disgusting. They're slobs. They're criminals. They do drugs. Like in reality, the people that are on their channels hanging out with them for hours on end every single day in real life would literally look down on these people. Look down on them. When you turn on the cameras and you see that they haven't cleaned up their dog and there's crap literally on their floor, it kind of turns your stomach a little bit. These are people that they would only hang out with online. And that to me is like, I don't know. I can't do it. If I'm not hanging out with you in real life, I don't want to be spending my time with you in the digital world, Sorry. Oh my gosh. Oh, 357. Some idiot. I was threatened with bodily harm that if I went to Tennessee to help Layla's mom search for her daughter, that I would be met with bodily harm, is basically the threat. That's what they said. Searching for a girl. So now actually putting boots on the ground. But again, it's their camp. They're trying to that whole side is representing apparently the father that has only been to Kingsport a handful of times, which God bless him. I mean, when parents divorce and you move to different areas. I mean, we see that with Hunter. His father lives in New York. His mother lives in Kingsport. It's not uncommon. One of those nerds. Yeah, it's just kind of like that. So it's hard because, I mean, I understand the father wants to find out stuff too, but you can't take money away from rewards and away from boots on the ground in that area, like her PI, for example. Her PI cost her almost $2,000 to get, but he's a Tennessee PI, somebody that can literally be boots on the ground every single day working for this lady. Not somebody that's thousands of miles away using a telephone and thinking he's doing something. Oh, I called. You know what he told me yesterday? He told me that he coordinates with the FBI. First of all, let me just tell you something. I personally know several FBI agents. One that's active and two that have been retired. I know a retired CIA agent. And one thing I can always tell you is they can't stand PIs. That is the truth. They don't like them. They think they muddle in all their crap. They think they're too damn nosy. They think that they are deserved information. This is what I'm hearing from them. This is what I've been told for years. They do not coordinate with PIs. They do not coordinate them. They do not coordinate with them. If they don't even give them any information. The only thing that they say they do is if a PI calls them with information, they will take that information. They do not discuss the case with them. They do not coordinate with them. So this is a PI telling this family that he's coordinating with the FBI and law enforcement. That's horseshit. It's a lie. You may call them. They may speak to you, but they ain't coordinating crap with you, dude. You are delusional. Even the officer in Kylie Rodney's case even said something or something to the effect of, we don't coordinate with private investigators. Give me a break. This dude is just full of, and that's what I can't stand. But he says, you know what? Listen to this. So this really, and I told you guys this, that he has spent days arguing with me. I'm going to keep the argument going to see how invested he's going to be in this argument with me. I am going to keep it going because I'm curious. I mean, he stirred up all this stuff to get himself notoriety, right? But I'm the clout chaser, but he's using me for clout. Sounds like they're the clout chasers. If you ask me. So they're saying that that he's coordinating with law enforcement. How are you coordinating with law? You're not even there. You know who's there? Layla Santinella's mother, Jen Santinella. Layla's brothers and sisters. Layla's daughter. You know who's not there? This crackpot PI. That's who's not there. People are trying to say, oh, he's got a pilot license and he went. Then show me the flight manifest. You gotta put your flight track down. You can't just get in your plane and fly. You gotta put in paperwork to get in your plane. And where is it? If you were in Tennessee looking for this young girl in a plane, that's what's now being alleged, that he was out there looking at a plane. Prove it. Give me your flight log. I guarantee you don't have any. I bet you if I called and did a public record request, I bet you I will not find your license on anything in Kingsport, Tennessee. And by the way, it is a government agency, and I happen to pull public records. It's part of my job. So I know how to do it, and I know how to acquire them. And I know how easy it is to acquire that information. So I would caution you before I make you look like an idiot, that you quit lying to your audience and start telling them the truth. That's all I'm going to say. Everything's provable. His nonsense, provable.
Dick Harpootlian. And remember, when you go for the king, you better hit the king and you better kill the king. If Dick does not score on this, because there could be 10 jurors, Chris, that are going to come in and say that didn't happen, Becky Hill's going to have the greatest defamation claim against Dick Harpootlian that the legal world has ever seen.
Well, only if she also has the claim against the jurors who signed the affidavits who say it did happen, right? We know he's not making it out of whole cloth.
He doesn't have immunity for that. He doesn't have immunity in a press conference.
No, but what I'm saying is he's not making up the jurors, right? So if they say what they said, you have three possibilities. One, it happened and they didn't know it was wrong when it happened. They didn't know that this lady talking to them that way and giving her opinions to them was wrong. Possibility one. Possibility two is they're making it up. Okay. Possibility three is they're not making it up, but your jurors are acting in good faith as well because they never talked to these two people. So they weren't aware of what Hill did to them. You say you don't think that is true. Okay.
But
it could be.
But, Chris, I think Chris is failing to realize this is the issue, is that the affidavits are saying she said this to the jury. They're not saying that she said this specifically to them. That's not what's being alleged in these affidavits, guys. They're alleging that Miss Hill went into the jury rooms and advised the jury, not these individuals, that they overheard her advising the jury of these things. I don't know, guys. It's getting saucy. There's going to be flamethrowers. We're going to have flamethrowers in the Murdaugh trial, or post-trial flame throwing contest. We're going to see who's a winner. Whoever wins, whether it's Becky Hill or Team Murdaugh, we're going to give them a free Bullhorn Betty t-shirt. Whoever the winner is of this nonsense is going to get a free Bullhorn Betty shirt. Which brings me to the other point. Don't forget, tomorrow is the last day for your Crotchgate, your Flygate thumbnails. Whoever is the winner is going to be receiving a free Bullhorn Betty shirt. They will be getting with Sonia. Sonia will be she's got whatever she's got. You can get whatever she has, and you'll get a free shirt from me.
It could be, but I don't think if she spoke, she wouldn't have spoken to 2 jurors. She would have spoken to the entire pool. So the fact that 10 people said it didn't happen and she wouldn't be talking to 2 separate jurors and giving them advice if she was.
They're on break. Because they're walking around. She has a chance to get to one of them. Then she has a chance to get to another. It's not like they walk around as a pack.
Nah. They go together and they're put in a room together, and they have to stay together. And the allegation that they were not entitled to given a cigarette break, Chris, that's a privilege. That's not a right. Nobody has a right to a cigarette break during deliberations. It's a common courtesy that some courts do. In New York, they don't do it. In Philadelphia, they don't do it, but maybe once a day. But you don't have a right during deliberations to get a cigarette break. And Dick made a big issue of that. I am concerned that the process here may be affected by what Harpootlian did at that press conference. One, he made an allegation against the judge that I think was
Hold on, guys. Let my doorbell's ringing. I'm going to just keep playing this. I'll be right back.
Telegraph that the Judge Newman cannot be the one to hear this if the appellate court reverses and brings it back for a hearing, because he said he was a witness. He's just made Judge Newman a witness, and Judge Newman may not be able to hear it. There's a number of things that Dick said that troubled me, and I don't think at this time that there is a situation where we have jurors that are in agreement. We have jurors that are in disagreement. I do agree that there has to be an investigation. I do agree it needs to be looked into. But what do we do, Chris, if 10 jurors say it didn't happen and 2 say it did? I don't think that's enough to overturn it.
Hey, thank you for watching.
Oh, there you go.
Please go to newsnationnow.com.
So I'm just curious as to what you guys think about that. I mean, now we have some information coming out about the clerk. We have her ghostwriter. Her ghostwriter basically said that, you know, he talked about the prayerful jury, and he asked her, were you able to pray with the jury? And she was like, oh, no, that's against my oath of office. I cannot do that. But, you know, me and my staff did a separate prayer in our office, and just notated that it was a prayerful jury. So it's like, you know, I'm trying to really, you know, balance this out, because to be honest with you, I thought these allegations were so far-fetched. We knew that our personal belief is we know Judge Newman, at least my personal belief. Let me just rephrase that. My personal belief is I believe Judge Newman ran a tight ship. I thought that was one of the, and I've said it even after the trial was over, I thought that was one of the best, most well-rounded, I don't know, it just, you know, as far as trial and how smoothly that trial had went in the case. I mean, you know, you're talking about a lengthy trial, and we only had one scheduling issue the entire time, just one scheduling issue. And it didn't even really hiccup the trial that much. Not like Letitia Stout, where they had to throw a day completely away over a scheduling issue. You know, this one was a very tight running machine. It was really a good trial. You know, very fair in my opinion, very balanced in my opinion. The book deal, this is where they don't have me, is the book deal. The book would have sold, in my opinion. It's going to sell whether he's convicted or not, or had a mistrial. And again, I almost feel like the mistrial is like that major twist in like the unexpected twist in the case, like I think that would even have been more explosive, in my opinion. It would have just been way, way, way more explosive, in my opinion, to have him have a mistrial. Just my opinion. Because the information that we all heard, and we did the trial on here. You know, I don't run trials. There's only been, I think, a couple trials I've ever ran on this channel. And Alec Murdaugh was one of those trials that we ran on this channel. And that trial was, we all heard. I mean, outside of again, a few people in our chat, we all were guilty. You know, everything we were hearing was giving us the guilt, you know, the guilty. It was the lying, all the lies from Camp Murdaugh. And he would never come clean with the lies until he was caught. It was only when he was caught in the lie that he would come clean about the lie. So I have no trust in the defense. None. Because clearly we know that Dick Harpootlian, as well as Jim Griffin, will represent their defendant with whatever they have. And this right here is meat on a bone that they can gnaw on. Now, does this mean that this clerk did it? It does not. And when I found out that and let me pull my other video back up, if it's here. I think it's right about here. Let's just see. Let me just listen to this real quick. I think it might be back here. Here, I think it's this one. All right, so let me put this back up and then we'll listen to a little more excerpts from my video. I think it's this one right here.
Some of those allegations were made is ridiculous. It was self-published and it was checked through the Ethics Commission. She's entitled.
Ethics Commission. So again, it was checked through the Ethics Commission. That's the part I wanted to bring to you guys, is that not only did she go through all the proper chains and procedures and protocols in an effort to publish this book, she went through the Ethics Commission to confirm she would not have any problems publishing this book, that she did not violate any oath of office in preparing this book and doing. So she already got pre-approved, basically. So she went through everything that she was supposed to do to be able to do this. And then now she is being just thrown to the wolves. And this is where I said I just had a hard time believing that she would do this. Out of her entire career, she gets to this point. She's working under Judge Newman in this case. Just, you know, these are things that people aspire to in the legal field. You know, these are goals that they have. I don't know anybody that's willing to work that hard to meet those goals and then squander them. And so I'm giving her a professional, a huge professional benefit of the doubt in this situation, and I'm glad I did, because now information's coming out that's helping, at least in the grand scheme of things, supporting some of this that I have said. You know, I'm sorry, but it's just hard. It's hard. You want to be fair and balanced, and you know, I'm trying to go and get some, you know, ideas of what the professional community is saying, but it's so far off base with my perception that I can't even bring, like, these are lawyers, and I can't even listen to their opinion because they are so wrong. They jumped right on board with the defense that nobody is giving the balance or the professional courtesy to this clerk. And it's just, to me, it was, I have to be honest, shocking. You know, when I was taught, we were always taught, let's get all the information first, let's look at it, digest it, and then move forward with, you know, our opinion and our statements and our observations and things like that. And I just felt that, you know, this just went from 0 to 60, and nobody said, wait a minute, you know, let's just stop and ask ourselves a few questions. Why this? Why would the clerk destroy her entire career over the Murdaugh trial? Fame and money? She's an elected official. She's already won the popularity contest. So she's already got the fame. So money. Okay, let's look at this money avenue. She's the freaking clerk. Do you guys realize the clerk is the purse holder? The clerk is the checkbook for the county. She has a lot of money. She has a lot of money. She deals with millions and millions and millions of dollars. Okay, so we just remove fame and remove money. I mean, if she was all about the money, she would have found a way to finagle this stuff. Hold on, Mom. She'll find out a way to finagle all this stuff and find back doors and basically launder the money. If it was about money, she could do it. Trust me. If anybody has the ability of hiding and weaving some money, it would be the clerk. So the fame and money's gone. So now we're looking at this book deal. Okay, so they said three things: the book deal, fame, and money. Let's look at the book deal. Now we're finding out there is no book deal. There's no book deal. There's no financier. She's on the hook for $15,000, and this is a self-published book. So all the three motives that she would have tanked this and tampered with this jury, we can say doesn't appear to exist, in my opinion. In my opinion. Let's hear what Mama Bullhorn has to say. Hey, Mama Bullhorn.
My train of thought waiting.
You need to start having a pad of paper.
Okay, I'm always thinking outside the envelope. Hang on, somebody's calling me. Oh, well.
No, I just want to remind you, you're on a live show, so you can call back.
Well, no, it's your sister. I dialed her. I'm always thinking outside of the envelope. There has to be a cause and relationship. Okay? And I'm always playing the what if game. Okay. How many jurors? They have two, right? Two.
It seems that way. Two, and it looks like two jurors, and then the third one is they haven't been able to meet up with her to have the affidavit signed yet.
All right. It sounds to me like if they need to chase the money, that's what they need to do.
But my question is, what money? We're hearing there's no money.
There has to be some money somewhere. A prepaid college fund.
No. You know what? No.
Yes.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. You know what this sounds like to me? This sounds like to me that these two jurors had their feelings hurt sometime during the trial. I don't think this is money related. I think this is vindictive related. Honestly.
Well, I'm going to say something else you may not like. There's a reason Poot and Magoo are doing this. Number one, all the money that Alec had was seized by the state of South Carolina, as I recall, because it can't be relinquished to the attorneys because it was fraudulently gained. Even the property in Mosaic.
No, that's not true. They have that all escrowed. That's already been established because after the escrows are done, Buster's getting $500,000 from the stuff that I was able to look at. Now, maybe some of it is going. It's like, I don't know. It's in some type of trust or something like that. When everything's resolved, I think it's supposed to go to potentially the victims after his attorney's fees, something like that.
Well, that leads me to my question. Jim Griffin was Alec's best friend in law school.
Mm-hmm.
Harpootlian is running for Senate. Why do they have to gain financially? There's no money. Alec has no money. There has to be an outside bank, somebody banking them. They're not going to do this for free. Going through another 6-week trial? Are you freaking kidding me? They're going to pay for all those witnesses again?
Well, I mean, if it has to happen, it has to happen. I mean, to be honest with you, if it's got to happen, it's got to happen.
Well, it almost bankrupted the state of South Carolina to start with. I mean, the county did declare bankruptcy and got money funding from the state. But South Carolina is very poor anyways. Most municipalities don't have a whole lot of money.
Unless you're in the Hamptons. Just saying. I'm just saying. Don't kill me.
What I'm saying is, there has to be a source outside of the realm, i.e., maybe his mother's estate. Maybe his brother. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
He had a lot of friends in a lot of high places. Who knows? They may have pulled some money. I don't know. But there has to be a reason. Why? I swear to God, first of all, I agree there has to be a grand jury. But before there's a grand jury, there has to be a grand jury investigation to see if it's worth their time to even look into this. I think they're blowing smoke out their butts.
Right.
And wishing upon a star. This is one great big wish. Because I don't think it's going to get that far. Mark my word. I think there's a lot of smart.
So let me just ask you this. Do you think the clerk did these things or no?
No.
Okay.
Because she'd have to get through 3 bailiffs. One at each of the doors. Okay. That'd be one.
Well, I'm just asking a yes or no. We got that. We got the gist of where the bailiffs may have been. I got one other question to ask you, Mom. One other question to ask.
All on camera.
Okay. I got one more question to ask you. There's a jerk in the chat that I'm about to block, but can you confirm that not only did I go to college to become a paralegal, that I graduated as a paralegal, that I graduated in the top 2% of my class, that I was on Dean's List, and I graduated in 2000?
Yes, ma'am. You were living at home part of that time. And yes, ma'am. I went to your graduation.
Okay.
I got pictures of you at your graduation.
I got pictures of me with my tassels around my neck.
And your ropes around your neck. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
the other thing is, you wouldn't have got your first job.
No.
Who is now a federal judge.
Retired federal judge. Retired federal judge.
Retired federal judge. God bless him. He's still practicing, though.
Once an attorney, always an attorney. All right, Mom. Love you.
All right. I love you, baby.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
Will do. Bye. All right. So there we heard from Mama Bullhorn in the house. And actually, what you see me when I turn this off, it's because we have a lag behind here. So I'm not sure if you guys know that when you're live, you have a lag. And sometimes having the video on when you're trying to do some things, and it helps. That's all. So Drunken Turkey Show, nice to have you in the house. I tried to confirm whether it was you, but I don't know how to work YouTube. So hopefully it's really you. If not, it's nice to see your alter personality. You guys are going to hear the lawn man. That's who was at the doors, the lawn guy. We're getting the lawn mowed today. Yay! It's probably a mess out there because I haven't gone out there and cleaned since the last hurricane. But since only a garbage can fell over in the front yard, I just assumed everything else was in the backyard. Was there. So it is interesting about this, and I'm glad again that I took the right side of this argument. I have a funny feeling, I don't know what happened. None of us really do. We're listening to both sides of this argument, but just the reality of a clerk just going totally against her oath of office for a book deal, and then we find out it's this is a hocus pocus to me. Is this hocus pocus? Yes, it's okay. It's Daniel Tvisa. Well, nice to meet you, Daniel. I'm Andrea. I'm Bullhorn Betty. I got a fake reputation to uphold over here on the streets of YouTube, but for the most part, I'm actually a pretty decent person. So it's nice to put a face to a name. Anyways, and I actually watched your show for a little bit. I think I came in there and said hi. Every now and again, I come pop in and just see what's shaking. But yeah, this is a crazy story that I just didn't believe at the beginning. And then, then I pulled the actual motion for new trial. And so yesterday I'm reading this thing and I'm like, oh crap, please don't tell me we're going to have a new trial for, Alec Murdaugh. That, this is a crazy, for me, this is a crazy story. Okay. It just, even when I was hearing it and reading these affidavits, I'm like, oh my, this sounds bad. If this is really true, we're going to be going to a new trial. If these allegations in this notice for new trial are true, we're going to a new trial. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't see how they're going to be able to get around it. But I just really, even yesterday, I kept cautioning the audience. I'm like, dude, I really don't think it's hard for me to believe. It's just hard for me to believe. This whole situation is hard for me to believe. And I don't care for the Murdaughs. I don't care for his attorneys. And, it's hard for me to take their word over an established, a well-known clerk. And this lady is above, beyond reproach. She's just a nice person. And again, is it possible? Of course, anything's possible. We deal with humanity each and every day. We see a lot of disgusting people doing a lot of disgusting things. Could she have done this? Of course it's possible. But because I come from a legal background, I know clerks. I know my own clerk here at Manatee County. I don't really care for her, but if you came to me and told me Angel is doing this in court, I'd say no way. I may not like her, but I know she's not like that. And she would never do that over money. So these clerks, they do a lot of money. So all of this to me, and now that I started hearing from the ghostwriter, I'm glad the ghostwriter came out and said his spiel. That really helped, make me feel a little more confident that she may not have done this. But I have to be honest with you, this motion for new trial does not look good. It really doesn't. But I'm confident that, hopefully this is just, some people having some feelings hurt on the juror, just being vindictive. Maybe they misunderstood. I just don't know. I don't know. I'm eager to find out, but I'm just still going to be very cautious with the clerk, because the clerk's highly respected. And sorry, Alec Murdaugh is just not. And I'm trying to balance this as positive as possible, because if this is true, if this clerk did these things, I will be honest with you, Daniel, we're going to a new trial. I'm hopeful and praying that these aren't true. And every day I hear another video come out in defense of the clerk, it makes me feel a little better, a little better about maybe we won't have to go to a new trial. Maybe this is all concocted and hocus pocus from the defense team. But to be honest with you, we just don't have enough information to say one way or another. But so far, the stuff I've read today, outside of the even the affidavits, outside of the statements that they allege that Ms. Hill made, everything seems normal and customary in a court proceeding. I mean, they would be, honestly, they would be taught, the foreperson and only the foreperson would be discussing with the clerk at the request. They would go through the bailiff. The bailiff will get the clerk. It's very orchestrated. It's very systematic. So, and that's all we're hearing is that she walked away with the foreperson and she had private communications with the foreperson. And that would be typical in a situation where, people aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, or if the foreperson has concerns about a juror, they would want to have those private concerns addressed with the clerk. The clerk would then go to the judge and resolution would then come. So even with her being having private communications with the foreperson, it really doesn't, it doesn't seem improper. It seems, in my experience, this all seems, now it's the statements, if those statements are true, where she's saying, but here's the other kicker, since I don't know how long you've been here, they said that she instructed the jury it wasn't individual people, it was the jury. She instructed the jury to watch him closely. That she instructed the jury not to be fooled. So it sounds like she instructed them as a collective body instead of individually, yet we're going to be hearing from the rest of these jurors, and they're probably not going to confer or confirm what these affidavits said, at least according to Eric Bland. So, well, I don't know. But we're over our 2 hours. I'm glad you got to come by and take a look at the Bullhorn Betty channel. It's nice to see you and meet you again. Everybody else, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. We will be picking up from Exhibit E tomorrow. We're going to be, if you guys, I dropped the link for this motion for new trial in the chat earlier. If you guys want to review this information, so you guys will have a little more insight so we can have a more in-depth conversation. We will be starting Exhibit E. We'll do a quick refresher in the morning about all the stuff we've gotten up to this point, but we'll start from Exhibit E and move until we are finally through this entire motion for new trial. I hope you all have a great Saturday. God bless each and every one of you. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe and kind to one another, especially in the chat box below. God bless.